here's what I've accomplished. I took a block of wood and I screwed it to another block of wood. Also, I cut some shorter bits, rounded the edges a little bit, and here's what we're going to do. First, I made a reference line on this block of wood. That's how high up I want the pouch to be. Then I'm going to take this piece of leather, which I've selected for this. See, I've already been mashing it on there. And bring that to the line. Well, after I wet this leather, I'll bring that to the line. Take a bone folder and just kind of work it in. Use my fingers, mash it around the bottom. Then once I get it to where I like it, I'm going to take these blocks of wood, clamp one on that side, clamp one on that side, and then clamp one across the bottom and leave it sit probably overnight. It might take longer, depending, on the weather and weather conditions and how long it takes to dry. But once it's dry, I'm going to pull it off there, trim around it, and then cut a bottom piece with the integral flap. Then figure out my belt loop for the back. So let's go ahead and wet this thing and get started on this. Okay, my leather's wet and I've already started forming it a little bit. Just use my fingers. When I say wet the leather, I mean soak it. Like, I filled my sink up with warm water and just soak it for a few minutes. But you can see how it's coming along here. Make sure it's good and tight across there. Take my bone folder creaser. Just go ahead and mash it in right there. Do the same thing to the other side. There's various techniques for doing this. And if you look across YouTube, there's plenty of different ways to accomplish this very same thing. Some use staples, and that's cool. I don't know. I just got my own way of doing this. You really gotta stretch the leather. Oop, flip it off here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and clamp these little bits of wood in place. Just using these clamps here. Good. Put this other one on. Actually, I think I might adjust that a little. I don't really do much leather molding, but I have. I definitely have. This is 5-ounce leather, which is generally the kind of leather I use for such things as cell phone pouches. Unless, otherwise specified. That's a little bit off. and one more across the bottom. Forming it a little bit. Then clamp this last piece across the bottom of it. There we go. It's more like what I want. Okay, now I'm going to reach in there and work on it a little bit right there. Right here. Yeah, since I don't have a molded pouch line, if I had a molded pouch line, like if I made a bunch of these, instead of one off here and there, then I would make a jig that would have this block on one side and another piece that would clamp over it. Okay, I'm going to keep working this for a little while, and once it's dry, we'll come back and see how it came out. Just thought I'd add this in real quick while this is drying. Is one thing that I never ever do is I never bake it in an oven. I've seen people on YouTube, they'll take and they'll staple it down and they'll form it and it'll look great, and then they'll bake it in an oven, which I really don't agree with. I think that could dry out the leather and affect the life of the finished product. One thing, if you do decide to bake it in an oven, treat it with some of this stuff to put the moisture back. Just the act of wetting it and stretching it and forming it, that dries out the leather a bit, and then you put the dye on it and that dries out the leather a little bit. And if you bake it in an oven, well, obviously that's going to dry it out even more. So, like I said, I don't bake it. I'll let it sit and dry for as long as it needs. I don't heat it up. I don't bake it. Even if it's like at a very low temperature for a short amount of time, still, that heat can take the moisture right out of a piece of leather. But like I said, it's going to take me a day or two. Today is the day before Christmas Eve, and I probably won't get back to this until the day after Christmas. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to do an update before Monday. So, we'll let it dry and we'll get back to it. See y'all then.